Hello, Patriots, and welcome back to the Patriot Dad channel. Today, I wanted to do a video where we discuss tariffs. This is a little bit different than a lot of the topics that we cover on the channel, but this is political and it's something that tends to confuse people. I did a little bit of digging. I am not a financial professional. I am not an economist. I am just going to share with you some basic information, and you can have the discussions either with us or you can have discussions with your friends and family, and you can figure out where you stand. The overall message that you're hearing right now is that Trump is going to do damage to the American worker. I would argue, and we'll talk more about it here in a little bit, that all of these free trade agreements over the last few decades have done far more harm to the American worker and to the American economy than any of these tariffs ever will. In fact, because for right now, Trump's tariff policy that he's implementing here in his second term in 2025 is a cornerstone of his America First trade agreement. Now, the policy aims to protect and revitalize American industries by imposing taxes on imported goods, thereby making domestic products more competitive. So, over the years, guys, we have made it economically advantageous for a company to take raw materials, ship them across the ocean to China, to just turn around and put them on a boat back to the United States, and somehow they still land on our shores at a significant cost savings to these businesses because of the essentially slave wages that are being paid to Uyghur Muslims and others that are working in these Chinese factories. I don't support that. I don't think having cheaper iPhones is worth putting a bunch of humans through human rights abuses. But right now, the idea that Trump has is he wants to reduce trade deficits, which is going to destroy our economy in the long term. He wants to protect domestic industries that still exist, of which there are far fewer than there used to be. We also want to boost job creation, because if we are punishing companies for doing exactly what all these free trade agreements lined up, which is to export the manufacturing jobs somewhere else, if we start penalizing that and increasing the cost of those goods, it will encourage those companies to either manufacture them here in the United States or stop manufacturing them altogether. Now, this may mean prices will go up, but it also means that we'll have more American jobs paying a higher wage than slave labor. So I'm all for it, because I don't need a new phone every year, because I don't need new stuff every year. I don't need more Chinese stuff that you get at Walmart or Target. Most of the things that we claim we need are just wants. They're comforts. They're luxuries. I think we've just gotten way too comfortable by using slave labor to finance our affluence. So, am I okay with a little bit lower quality of life? Yeah, if it means less human suffering. Absolutely. It's also going to ensure national security, because we just learned during COVID that a majority of the base materials used in antibiotic manufacturing and other pharmaceuticals comes from China. We also learned that a lot of our chip manufacturing comes from overseas. Most of our automotive and heavy manufacturing now occurs overseas. Westinghouse learned this real hard lesson when they were trying to build AP1000s down at Vogel and VC Summer. Those projects went significantly over budget and had many complications because the large forgings that were required to build that plant, we had forgotten how to make here in the United States. Now, we're going to use tariffs as a negotiation tactic, and that seems to be what Trump has done the most, because he announced reciprocal tariffs, and the majority of these countries have said, you know what, we'll get rid of our deficit, we'll lower our tariffs on your goods if it means lowering the reciprocal tariffs. Fantastic. That is how they're supposed to be used. And it encourages that reciprocity, seeking fairer trade terms than we had before. Overall, most of the countries have gone through cycles, but we are now down to a base rate of 10%, and everybody seems to be okay with it, which means we ended up with 10% tariffs across the board, and the economy's okay with it. If you had just tried to do that outright and not done the big ask and dial back to 10%, the market would not have tolerated it as much, at least not in my opinion. Now you have countries like China that are resisting, and that's fine. They can. But most of these countries, Canada included, need us more than we need them. If it means having less stuff for a little bit of time just to get these trade deals done, that's okay with me. If it means bringing more manufacturing back to the United States so that American workers can have good paying jobs, then good. Because when I lived in the Midwest, all I saw was empty town after empty town along rail lines that were hollowed out because the big brick factory building in that town was abandoned. And the factories were the primary employers in a lot of these towns. So when they left, everything left. All of the finances and all of the resources of those communities was drained to overseas companies that were now manufacturing those goods somewhere else. The nice thing about manufacturing something here is that all of that money stays in the community. If it's a small business that started in your town and they manufacture a product in your town, and the people in your town buy it, and the people that work there buy stuff from restaurants and grocery stores and other places in town, that money stays in town. And then those businesses start growing and they start exporting their product to other towns. And it brings in those resources from all around to that town, and that town grows. That's the way that's supposed to work. But with free trade agreements like NAFTA and all of these other just really bad deals, like opening up China to the West, thanks a lot, now the opposite happened. What ended up happening is those factories left. The communities still needed stuff. So to get stuff, they started importing that stuff. And then all of the resources from that town went out of that town to buy and import stuff. And over time, without a primary employer, those towns withered and died. Is that really the future that you want for the United States? Because it's not one that I want. It's one of hopelessness, of dependency, of drugs, alcohol, and other kinds of abuse. It's not healthy. It's not good. It doesn't vitalize communities. It destroys them. And right now, with low birth rates and dwindling communities, we need community now more than ever. So you have the pros. You're stimulating domestic manufacturing. You have revenue generation through tariffs. You have negotiation leverage, and you have reduction in trade deficits. I think all of those sound like great goals, and we should be working towards them. Now, there are some cons. Like we discussed a little bit earlier, you're going to have higher consumer prices because the cost of manufacturing is going to go up. And if they don't start manufacturing the stuff here, when you start paying those reciprocal tariffs, you might see 245%, 260% higher costs to manufacturing because the raw materials are tariffed going to China and the manufactured final goods are tariffed coming back from China. You have to add those together, guys. It's not just 125% on China. You have to add what China is also tariffing us. So keep that in mind. You will see an increase in consumer costs. And you just might have to be okay with that, or you might have to be okay with buying less stuff. Some experts are saying that there's an increase in the risk of inflation because of this. As goods get more expensive, money has to move more money is going to get printed, et cetera, might see more inflation. You also might see a reduction in GDP because you will have a little bit less economic activity caused by those higher prices. You also have retaliatory tariffs, as we have seen from China, which means not only are we getting our costs that we're putting on them added, you have to add those reciprocal tariffs. So right now, I think the number sits at like 245% for increase in cost for products coming from China, unless they're in specific exempt categories. That's a lot. If you're used to paying $20 for something and suddenly it's like 50, that's going to be tough to budget for. Maybe you just need less of those things in your life. You also have the impact of global trade disruption. Now, I'm okay with that. I'm less of a globalism and free trade person. I really don't like it. I wish we did everything here. Now, that might just be a pipe dream. We might never get there. But by causing this drastic increase in costs, you will see less manufacturing happening somewhere else. There might be factory jobs in China that go away. There might be factory jobs at GM's plants in Mexico that go away. There might be factory jobs in Canada that go away. We've been losing our jobs for decades. Sometimes life isn't fair. So yes, there may be a disruption to global trade to some effect, but that's part of where our negotiation leverage comes from. Now, instead of broad tariffs, specific country-based tariffs might make more sense, and they have their own pluses and minuses. You've seen us targeting Canada, and you've seen us targeting China specifically, not just across the board, because you know what? That pressures them to give us concessions. You saw countries saying, oh, we'll put more agents on drug interdiction and border control to try and help you guys out if you lower our tariffs. Fantastic. How about Mexico? Same thing. So Canada and Mexico are helping out now because of that trade pressure. We also have a lowering dependence on adversaries. China is not our friend, guys. It just isn't. So in the end, if we rely on them for the base materials for damn near everything we make, is that really a good thing for our national security? Especially if they decide to take Taiwan. TSMC is the largest chip manufacturer in the world. So they would control pharmaceuticals, they would control chips. Is that really where we want to be as a nation? That sounds like a terrible strategic position. We can also protect individual industries like the automotive industry. Now, should we? I don't know, guys. Would I rather buy something that's made here? Yeah, I kind of would, especially from an environmental standpoint. Not that I'm an environmentalist, but one of the biggest arguments is always the environment. Well, what's the environmental impact of putting all the raw materials on a cargo ship and sending it to China just to manufacture the thing using coal power and dirty factories in China to then put it on a ship and send it back to the United States to then have to drive it around by truck and rail? Like, how much extra emissions are we putting out there? Because if that's your primary concern is the environment, manufacturing everything in China is not the answer. Manufacturing it here is, where we have regulations to control a lot of that stuff. Now, there are downsides to specific tariffs because that means we're going to strain some relationships. You've seen a lot of commentary coming out of Canada right now. You see a lot of commentary and pushback coming out of China right now. They don't like this additional pressure. They are used to being able to milk us dry for decades. And now that we're finally saying, hey, let's not do that anymore, it's upsetting to them. Their countries have grown very used to being able to take advantage of us. It's like not fighting against a bully for 3 or 4 years in school and then one day deciding to pop him in the nose. It's going to confuse him. He's going to be upset. He's not going to know what happened because he's used to just being able to take your lunch money. Well, let's not let Canada take our lunch money anymore, guys. That's an embarrassment. We have sector-specific tariffs like the steel industry and aluminum. These industries have had their markets flooded with cheap products coming out of China. A lot of times these industries are government-backed, which means China and their government are helping to pay for some of those things to keep those products cheap, to flood the American markets, to put American manufacturing out of business. Because once everything's out of business and you have the monopoly, you can make the prices whatever you want. And the quality of the product just isn't there, guys. You see tons of articles and other things about the quality of Chinese steel, Chinese aluminum. So if you want something made and made well so that it doesn't, tip over in an earthquake or sink or anything else when it's made with steel, we probably shouldn't be buying all of our cheap steel from China. We should probably be manufacturing it here in foundries in the United States under proper quality controls. Now, the economic consequences of that are going to be these products are going to be more expensive. When the base materials are sourced from the United States and not from China, they are going to be more expensive. That's just something that if we're truly America first, we just have to come to terms with. You may not have a small appliance to do every little job around your house. You don't need a little egg toaster to make an Egg McMuffin with. Like, you just don't. We like them, but we don't need them. And if it means helping to save our economy, don't you think with us being $36.5 trillion or more in debt at this point, that maybe we should start caring about that? Right now, Trump and his tariff policies look a little scary. It looks like things are going to get more expensive. It looks like there might be shortages on some things as we have to shift manufacturing back to the United States or to somewhere else with lower tariffs. Because right now, there's pretty much a 10% baseline tariff, and then specific countries have anywhere between 11 and 50%, with China being the real outlier, which I believe right now stands at 125%. But then when you add the reciprocal tariff on top of that, it's much higher. You know, Canada and Mexico right now, we have a 25% tariff on non-USMCA goods because we just renegotiated the USMCA, which replaced NAFTA. Right now, there's a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum. There's also a 25% tariff on cars and a 25% on car parts. Look, guys, this is just the way it's going to be for the short term. What do you guys think about tariffs? Do you think that in the long run, it's going to give us a better negotiating position? Do you think it's going to bring jobs back to the United States? Do you think the end result is going to be a boon for the economy, or is it going to be a bane? Go ahead and leave a comment. Come to the Discord. Go over to X. Find me there. Let me know. But right now, the goal of Trump's tariff program is to bolster the U.S. economy, is to increase domestic manufacturing and to drive job growth. I think these are good goals, and we're going to find out if this method is the right one or not. But we've got to give it time, folks. We do. We just do. And in my opinion, the economic numbers that were being reported by the last administration for a while were not real. They were just trying to make it look real good so that Biden could run on having the best economy, or that Kamala could run on the economy from Biden is great, keep up with us. And as Trump took over, suddenly all of the economic data looks so bad. We're in a recession. It's all Trump's fault. Does anyone actually believe that? Do you believe that? Because I don't. I'm real skeptical of that. The Mockingbird media is not known for its truthfulness. Hopefully we see an increase in manufacturing. Hopefully we see an increase in real wages, because that's something that we've been missing in this inflation cycle is real wage growth. We had a whole lot of inflation over the last 4 years, but we really haven't had that much growth in real wages. Typically, following inflation cycles, you get real wage growth to match the old inflation, which means in the end, you make a lot more money, but it kind of feels like you make the same money. That's the normal way it happens. This time, I'm making less. I did not get raises that match the amount of inflation. I did not get raises to match inflation. Did you? Did you get a COLA? Did you get a cost of living allowance adjustment? I doubt it. How much inflation did you see? And then how much of a raise did you get over the last 4 years? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments. But yeah, guys, that's where we stand right now on these tariffs. We have a bunch of baseline tariffs. We have a handful of specific tariffs, and we're really going after China because I think we're just tired of being owned by their manufacturing. Thank you to those of you that made it to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate your support. If you're looking for a way to support the channel for free, you can like the video, share the video with friends and family. You can leave a comment on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you're looking for a way to support me monetarily, I do have a link tree that has my Buy Me a Coffee link, as well as you can also go over to coffeebrandcoffee.com, peruse their selection of coffees, teas, and cocos, and use our promotion code at checkout so that a little bit of your purchase comes back to the channel to help me deliver you more content. You can come on over to the Discord, join the conversations going on there. You can also head on over to X and find me at PatriotDad_USA. You can find me co-hosting a space Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. with The Questionable Gardener. You can find me at 8:30 p.m. Saturdays, where I have my live stream for the weekly update. You can also find me Friday night co-hosting a space with Titan Shell, as well as Sunday nights. We're getting more and more busy over there, folks, so come over there, hang out, and chat with us. If you have a recommendation for a future topic or a video you'd like to see on the channel, please make sure you send it to me in a comment or to patriotdadyt@gmail.com. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and God bless. Go ahead and check out one of the links on the screen now to either subscribe to the channel and see the rest of the videos of the channel, or one of the carefully selected videos that you may wish to see that YouTube has used its algorithm to select for you.